Welcome back. It's time for this week's Roundtable. If you were hoping to unplug this long holiday weekend and do a little less homework, we brought in the business news equivalent of a cheat sheet. Here to catch you up on some of the interesting conversations going on in the business world, two of the top people at our favorite business read, the Washington Business Journal. Jennifer Nycz-Conner, assistant managing editor for video and so much more, and Rob Terry, the paper's managing editor. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Rob, we're going to save you for seconds since this is your maiden voyage on the show. I'm not sure how you got away with that for so long, but since Jennifer has had to make many appearances, Jennifer, let me start with you. You all came out with some interesting numbers from the mayors, and Michael Niebauer put it in perspective. When we're comparing how big the Washington area is to other cities, other states, and even other countries, we do pretty well.
We do pretty darn well. We do well to the tune of $458 billion in terms of our economic size as a metro area around the country, and that is pretty.
You're hearing acknowledgement from the camera. Even it's getting excited. Now, keep in mind that the Washington area is a pretty sizable area. It's Northern Virginia. Right. It's parts of Maryland. It's even parts of West Virginia. But when you add that up, Rob, that means that there's only a few municipalities that are bigger than ours: Los Angeles, Chicago, New York. We're even bigger than some states and some countries.
Yeah, Austria and Thailand apparently have nothing on us because we're bigger
closing
than
in
them
on
when it
Argentina.
comes to GNP. That's exactly right.
And we're bigger than many of the states in the country.
That's right.
What does it mean, though? Does it give us any thing other than bragging rights?
Well, bragging rights are always nice. We like that in Washington.
We like that in Washington.
But keep in mind, I mean, it does basically say, like, what do we actually make here? When you think about it, it's knowledge. You know, we have the federal government here, we have the contractors, so a lot of what we do, there's not widgets and things that we're making. It is the knowledge economy that we come out of.
And that's worth something.
And that is certainly worth something. But the other thing to also remember, there was another report that came out around the same time that was also saying, you know, just because we're doing well doesn't mean everybody's doing well. There's a lot of things the recession has done to different populations in the region, and we're still dealing with struggling people in our area. So don't be fooled by big numbers of billions. Like, there's still that struggle there as well.
But thank you for the segue from struggling people to somewhat struggling companies. Rob, we have all been following through your paper the trials and tribulations of Living Social as they try to figure out how to stay current. And you all have been covering how they are evolving, launching July 1st, a new way of selling their wares. What are they doing?
That's right. Our tech reporter, Bill Fluke, caught up with one of the executive VPs over there, a guy by the name of Jake Moss, to talk about things that they're doing now with their daily deal model and to make them even more personalized. And this is a really important shift for the company. It's probably sort of the third shift of the overall iteration from a Facebook app to a deals company to a deals company that can really target people very, very specifically based on this treasure trove of data that they are able to collect.
And that's it, Jennifer. They're using the business of, we know what you like, we know what you've bought in the past, and so we're going to send you notices every day that we've got exactly what you're looking for.
Well, and they make an interesting point, because when you think about when they first came out, they were one of the first ones. Them with Groupon were really kind of the daily deal model, and that model has shifted, and they're trying to figure out how to make money off of it. And unlike just ad placements, when you go and search on Amazon for a pair of shoes and you come back with lots of ads for a pair of shoes, one of the things that Mr. Moss actually had said is that they had to wait for kind of this, you know, synchronization of consumer products and monetization and getting all the data so they can actually then apply it to this new model they're going to use.
And
Rob?
it's not, I'm sorry, I was just going to say, it's not just on the consumer side. They're also saying they're going to push out a lot of control and flexibility to the merchants, which is big. If you've got a cupcake shop in Purcellville and you did a deal a couple years ago, you might have gotten crushed by thousands of consumers, and it'll eat the bottom right out of your business model. Yeah, so this is, you know, supposed to give merchants more control as well. So.
Jennifer, another headline in the Business Journal that caught my eye, because you have reporters spread out across the country.
We're everywhere.
You caught up with one of our locals as he's making a bus tour. Hillary Clinton is not the only one that has her own traveling bus these days. Steve Case is on a bus tour of America. What is he doing?
Spreading the gospel of innovation and entrepreneurship, as he's been wont to do. And he's one of those people, when Steve Case talks, lots of people listen.
Including the White House. They've put him in charge of startups and trying to get more innovation and interest. He's made one of his appearances that you all covered, Rob, with the Secretary of Commerce, Penny Pritzker. And his message is that governments across America need to help more entrepreneurs, but he's also saying entrepreneurs need to help themselves in terms of thinking currently. And he talks about new waves in entrepreneurship. Talk a little bit about Steve Case's message.
It's of a piece of a message he's been giving for quite some time now, that we're in the midst of this third wave of the internet, he calls it. The first wave was all about about connectivity. The second wave
Which was AOL, his company.
Exactly.
A little company you might have heard of.
Yeah, the second wave was about, selling products on top of the web via Facebook or Twitter or Amazon. This third wave is integrating the internet into everyday life, the Internet of Things, they call it, and you don't even realize it's there. And Case's point is, we're falling behind, he fears, in innovation and entrepreneurship at this critical time of the internet's evolution. And we need to do a better job, and government needs to do things policy-wise to make it easier for us to take advantage of that.
So he just had a big $50 million investment in a company that's going to be providing local services that can come to your home. And his message is the small businesses all around need to get on board the next wave. It's things like, Jennifer, your thermostat at home being able to be controlled by your smartphone. What do you think Steve Case overall is trying to do by having this bus tour? He's going to cities that he says haven't been thought of as startup communities. Is he trying to evangelize across America that everyone can be a startup today?
Well, I mean, he's one of those poster children for innovation and entrepreneurship. But it's also one of those things where starting a company now, it's so much. The infrastructure that you need is so much smaller and so much more nimble than it ever was. So it doesn't have to be the big tech corridor, the Silicon Valleys or the tech corridor of Washington. You can start a business pretty much anywhere in the country now, and I think that's part of the message we're trying to spread.
Be nimble, be quick, get on the Steve Case bus.
And keep innovating.
Thanks for keeping us current on all the topics and headlines. Thank you all. And stay with us. We're going to be right back after the break.